a startup with a funny name.
Zazuu.
Is there?
Where are these guys in the studio with me today?
Sorry, I don't know where that came from.
Yeah,
What's
it's a
that?
It's a Nigerian artist that led us to where we are today. So
Yeah.
yes,
Shout out
Artist.
Zazuu.
to-
Okay.
What is he?
Artist.
He's an artist now.
Artist doesn't
Okay.
begin to describe the.
Okay.
He's a philosopher. On some days, he's a philosopher. On some days, he's a renegade. On some days, he's an ambassador.
Why is Onome looking at me like that?
All right, okay.
Of what?
Zazuu, a fintech.
What the hell is she saying?
Is it a
Yeah, it's a fintech.
fintech startup?
Yeah, fintech
shut
startup.
down for a reason that we are getting tired of hearing.
Yes.
Yes.
And what is that
Everybody-
reason?
Everybody
We're
keeps
not
saying they
able
are
to
shutting
raise
down
funds.
because you can't raise
But
funds.
then what makes we are not able to raise funds reason even more, I don't know, I don't want to use ridiculous. Please give me synonyms. What makes it
Outrageous.
even more I like outrageous.
Disturbing or
No, no.
confusing.
I like the outrageous.
Outrageous.
What makes it more outrageous on Noves? I know you people know English very well. So what makes it more outrageous for Zazuu is that they raised money just a year, right? I mean,
It's a playbook we are familiar with.
yes. I mean, it's not as if like you just raised money and you're saying, "Oh, we are shutting down because we could not raise money."
You could
So-
not raise-
I was okay. The news, yes. I don't know production. Before you give us one kind eye, Zazuu is a Nigerian fintech startup that has shut down. After how much did they raise 1 year ago?
$2 million.
Was it true?
After
My
raising
God.
$2 million less than a year ago, and the reason they gave was that they couldn't raise more funds. Now, I was venting last night, really venting to another startup founder, and it's disturbing when a startup gives that excuse without like you should hold yourself back from giving that. Just look for another excuse, because when you're invested in, fine, VCs want you to spend money on things that should move the company forward, the startup forward, and probably bring more funds and probably attract more funding. But you shouldn't burn through your funding. You should you should get to a stage where you are making revenue. You should have a product that can give you revenue, that at the point whether you've exhausted the funding money, the VC money, you should be able to run while you wait for another funding to come in.
Yeah.
And I'm getting tired of seeing this reason why startups shut down.
Jason Njoku said, I think he also, I've been referring to this thing a lot. He said something in that his article, and he said something that seemed like a warning for founders. Like once your burn rate is becoming, he said the thing is like addictive, right? You just start burning and you get so used to it, and I guess that's why people are blaming not being able to fund
To raise funds.
to why they are
That's-
shutting down.
I don't know if you said that's the reason. It's a case of okay. So I've heard a few people say one of the reasons we've heard these excuses is that a lot of founders were not aware of how long. Okay, so they kind of overestimated or underestimated how long it would take them to raise cash. So 2020, 2019, you could probably raise a $1 million seed round in under 6 months. Now it's taking as much as a year to even reach that
Amount.
those same figures. So if you entered 2023 with the mindset that okay, 3 months, you do this, and then you come and maybe you've heard of one founder like that was able to do it, you may also fall into the trap that okay, yes, I will raise money in a short period.
Objection.
Please object away.
So if you raised money and say you had a burn rate, okay, you are burning it for valid reasons, and then say you got to like the 4th month, and then you evaluate your books, get your books and look at it. What will be the next thing to show you when you're able, when you project where you've gotten to and where you are going to, and look at the market situation? What should be the next step? You know what I think the problem is, right? Founders don't listen to their advisors.
What kind of advisors are you talking about?
So,
Did they even have
say-
advisors in the first place?
Okay, say say some of their investors make it to their boards, and then they hire a finance executive, right? They hire somebody that will take care of HR. Those people, they are occupying advisory roles. But do founders listen to them? Because if you have a finance expert,
So you're assuming
Then-
that the finance or whoever they are hiring. Okay, so here's the thing too. I don't know what in this case here. I don't know what the leadership team was composed of. Whether they had a finance guy who was like in charge of doing this. But even where companies have had finance guys, we've also had issues like this happen. So this isn't me excusing them. The excuse that you were unable to raise is quite old, and I think people should start coming up with more creative reasons when they are shutting down.
it's a creative reason.
I mean, yes, you can't be using the same line always, but it's so the concerns are valid. That's basically what I'm saying. The concerns that people are using that excuse is valid, but let me play a little devil's advocate.
Okay.
But I'm not the devil.
Oh.
And the
Not
devil's
everybody
advocate.
knows. So, as I was saying before, I was really interrupted. Not every founder is aware of how long it will take, or they misproject how long it will take them to raise. So when you make that mistake, it's also funny, or it's possible for you to keep on hoping, being very optimistic that you're seeing that this thing will work, but last, I don't know how it could be, but you go run them. And you're using that mindset. It's very, very possible. And it's probably one of what has happened for a few startups. They've probably been very, very optimistic. But another thing too is, yes, your burn rate has become high, and you've looked at it. You know that this isn't sustainable. We are probably going to run out of gas. The question now becomes, what do we do? The easiest thing to do at that point is to either cut some expenses that you are making or fire some of your employees. And if you are being honest, firing anybody is difficult.
Of course.
When Laserpay shut down, one of the things that the CEO pointed out was he struggled to make that decision.
So it was better
Very
to
early.
shut down.
Not that it was better to shut down, but that he knew that at some point they had to let some people go
Cool.
to extend their runway. But that he struggled with that decision. For him, it makes perfect sense. He's very young, 21 or so. These are people who you've probably built relationships with.
Yeah.
Who, in fact, you know the impact of them being fired on their finances. So it's very normal that you would think about it. I'm also assuming that for other founders who have had to fire people, it wasn't a difficult decision to come to. So
An easy decision.
an easy decision for them to come to. So it could also be you just postponing
the evil day.
and you know I'm supposed to do this, right? If I fire maybe 10 people, it might reduce the burden, the financial burden, but then you just continue hoping. So there's just a whole lot of reasons. But so for Zazuu, I think we've not even touched on the main reason why they probably failed. They were playing in the remittance market, and everybody talks about how difficult it is to send money to Africa, how expensive it is. It's true, but there are also a lot of players there.
Yeah.
We have guys like Chiba Cash that have struggled in the last 1-2 years. We also have Lemonade Finance. We have Nala. Nala has been on sort of an expansion spree in the last 1 year. But we also have the more established guys, World Remit, Western Union, and the likes. If you're going to get into that market, you need to do a whole lot. Probably going to have to spend serious money on customer acquisition. But something that's interesting is a statement that the CEO made, I think last year.
Zazuu CEO.
Yeah, when he said their biggest challenge was explaining to customers what they were doing. If your biggest challenge is explaining to customers what you are doing,
Do you have a product?
it's you're probably not going to make it. I don't know why that was the case. It could be any number of reasons. So it could also be because they started out as like a chatbot that told people what the daily FX rates were. So that marketplace idea it's kind of new. If you want to change your money, if you want to send money, you just go to the guys you've been using. They do the work for you. So maybe that marketplace idea was difficult to sell to customers. At the time they shut down, we can't say if they succeeded in accurately communicating that value to customers. So maybe it played a role, or maybe by the time they succeeded, now all of this is just conjecture. Maybe they succeeded and finally be able
They
to
get
communicate
money.
that, and then that was when they ran out of money. So it's a it's a serious problem, which I think could also be the reason why other startups fail. Could also be the reason, because switching costs, people don't always consider switching costs. Why would I leave the person I'm already using to come to you?
Come on, use you.
So that could be the reason they
So
fail.
I'd like to add that whatever conversations we bring up on this podcast, and it's not in any way to say or to throw jabs as startups that fail. We know that running startups is a very difficult task. Like you probably think you are crazy at some point as a startup founder, and we totally understand that.